Calling All Cars, a copyrighted program created by Rio Grande.
Los Angeles Police calling all cars, attention all cars, broadcast 300 regarding a murder. Be on the lookout for Yim Long, wanted for this killing. Described as Chinese, 5 feet 8 inches, weighs 145 pounds. That's all. Rosenquist.
When the great new all-purpose cracked gasoline was developed a few months ago, we little believed that public interest and patronage would be so quickly realized. And the great number of our new friends and customers are fleet operators who, like city, county, state, and federal officials, buy on tested performance and low cost of operation. I could fill this half hour with one testimonial after another, but here are 3 short, typical opinions. B.L. Stebbin, West Coast Trucking Company, Oakland.
For the past 50 days, we've been using Rio Grande gasoline in all our trucks and passenger cars. We wish to state that this gas has proved superior to any of the other brands we've used.
Fred K. Balch of the Pomona Pump Company.
I've put the new gasoline through tests comparable to those of your research department. I've noticed its superiority in starting, pickup, smoothness, and increased mileage.
R.F. Landreth of Sproul's Lumber Company.
We found your new cracked gasoline to possess exceptionally quick starting abilities, smooth acceleration, and long mileage. We're pleased to endorse it as the most outstanding non-premium gasoline we've ever used.
Ask your friends to try the new all-purpose Rio Grande Cracked. One trip to the red and white Rio Grande station, and they'll thank you for knowing the most highly recommended gasoline sold in the West. The facts around which tonight's story has been built have been secured through the cooperation of the Los Angeles Police Department. We have therefore asked Chief of Police Arthur C. Holman to open our program.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Life in old Chinatown in Los Angeles was hidden from Occidental understanding by a veil of Oriental mysticism and intrigue. In one respect, however, it failed to vary from life in other parts of Los Angeles, for the people of Chinatown experienced the same emotions common to the Occident. They knew happiness and sorrow. They loved and hated. They lived and died, sometimes mysteriously. They brought with them many strange customs. One of the most intriguing of these customs was the no-ee of slave girls. Tonight's story deals with one of these and with the efforts of the police to prevent a murder. But let's listen to the story as it unfolds and learn the outcome.
The curtain of night had fallen over the Los Angeles Chinatown. An ancient and begrimed brick building presented a darkened front to Ferguson's Alley, the thoroughfare on which it faced. But inside and behind heavily draped windows, a soft light glowed in the room where 2 Chinese, garbed in Oriental dress, sat talking.
And so it is settled that you return to China, Sing Chong?
Yes, Su Ho Ying, my friend, tomorrow. I am old. My shoulders bend beneath the years.
It is well. The gods have smiled on you through your many years.
I know. And that is why I return to Land of Dragon, to worship at graves of my honorable ancestors, and to kneel once more before the altars of the ancient gods.
Again, I repeat, you do well, Sing Chong. But it is not your desire to return alone.
No, it is not my desire.
You would have for your companion Fa Ling, my incomparable slave girl?
I would, Su Ho Ying, but only if her price does not too greatly lessen the weight of my purse.
Her price? You can speak of price and at the same moment permit your lips to form the name of Fa Ling? Truly, Sing Chong, old age has indeed come upon you.
You speak words of truth, Su Ho Ying. I am old.
Fa Ling is of the rarest and most delicate beauty, young, schooled in all the arts of pleasure.
Tell me her price, Su Ho Ying.
Fa Ling is exquisite as lotus bud. She can bring many joyful hours to your old age. I will not bargain, Sing Chong. There is but one Fa Ling. There is but one price. Leong Chin.
$2,000? Leong Chin for slave girl Fa Ling? Oh, no.
You are rich, Sing Chong. Perhaps if you were to gaze anew upon charms of my lotus blossom. But wait, I will summon her.
It is not necessary. I fear our business has reached an unfruitful end.
Have patience, Sing Chong. Let your eyes linger once more upon the loveliness that is Fa Ling. Time enough then to make your reply. She is well trained, Sing Chong. You see, she does not neglect to refer to me as worshipful master. Would not such music be soothing to your ear?
But Leong Chan...
Fa Ling, I bid you smile upon my friend Sing Chong.
Yes, master.
She is indeed beautiful, little pale.
Walk a little, Fa Ling.
Yes, master.
Such grace of motion, graceful as field of flowers which sway at gentle touch of early morning breeze.
You find Fa Ling desirable?
I do not journey alone to Land of Dragon, to Hoying.
You are indeed wise, my friend. Fa Ling, return to your room.
I hear, master.
With your permission, I shall now take my leave, so Hoying. There are many to whom I must yet bid my last farewells.
Fa Ling will be waiting when next sun brightens the heavens. I guard my slave girls well.
Detective Lieutenants Bill Baggett and Joe Philkus are waiting out here now, Captain Wallace.
Well, send them right in, please.
Yes, sir.
Come on in, boys.
Thanks,
We were out when your call first came through, Captain Wallace. We got here as soon as we could.
Oh, that's all right. There's no particular hurry. I've got a sort of a funny job for you boys.
We've handled a few funny ones in our time.
This one's down in Chinatown. Something fishy seems to be going on down there. Did either of you ever hear of Kwang Li?
Seems to me he's president of one of the Tongs, isn't he?
That's right, the Chi-Yuk Tong.
What's he doing down here? Their headquarters are in San Francisco.
I know, but the Chi-Yuks are having trouble with the Lo-Yi Tong up there. Kwang Li-Ye's up there down here now for his health.
I see, and you think the local Tong might take up the quarrel. Is that it, Captain?
That's it. More particularly because the Lo-Yis have put a price on Kwang Li-Ye's head.
With a cash inducement to start trouble, that makes it worse.
Yes. And if there's any truth to a rumor that just came to me, something's happened that'll make it worse than that.
Something that's happened down here, you mean?
Right. When Kwang Li came to Los Angeles, he brought his wife with him, Ming Chung. She's supposed to be very young and very beautiful.
Yeah?
Well, here's the rub. Somebody's kidnapped the lady.
Kidnapped? That does mean trouble.
Who's supposed to have done it? Lo Yi Tong?
I hardly think so, Philkus. Tongs don't kidnap for revenge. They kill.
Is there any clue as to who might have done it?
No. But in my opinion, this kidnapping, if there was a kidnapping, is most likely the work of some local Chinese who's fallen for this Ming Chung.
And our job is to nose around Chinatown and see what we can find out, right?
That's about the size of it, Baggett. I don't expect you to have much luck. It's about as easy to get information from a stone wall as from a Chinaman. There's something you can do.
What's that, Captain?
Go down to the Chi-Yuk Tong headquarters and drop a gentle hint in the ears of those fellows down there that the police know something's up, that we're on the lookout for any trouble.
You sure this is the place, Philkus?
Sure, this is the Tong headquarters, all right. Here, I'll try the door. It's locked.
Maybe nobody's in there.
Oh, there's bound to be.
You suppose they think we're Lo Yi Tongmen?
They might at that. I'll try again.
Well, looks like we might have to break in.
Oh, listen. There's somebody coming.
Yao Shoma.
I'll tell you what I want after you open this door.
Suya.
We're police officers. Open this door.
Lala.
You understand their lingo pretty well, don't you?
Some of it.
What do you want?
Oh, it's you, Lim Young.
And Young. He's head of the local Chi-Yuks, isn't he?
That's right.
You want something, Chow?
Why are you staying in like this with the door locked, Yim Lung? Why aren't you outside getting some fresh air? Expecting trouble?
Oh, no trouble.
Well, I thought you fellows and the Lo Yis might not be getting on so well.
Oh, Lo Yi Tong make no trouble here. Lo Yi Chi Yuk Pung Yao. Good friend.
Then it'd be a good idea for you to stay that way, because the police are going to make an awful lot of trouble themselves if there's any more of this Tong war business.
Oh, no trouble, Chow. Tongman very good friend.
Well, that's fine. Who's the old fellow over there? Kwang Li, eh?
Yes, him Kong Li.
Good. You better ask him a few questions, Silkus. Come on in.
Get an eyeful of that knife the old fellow's honing, Baggett.
I have, and if I ever saw a wicked-looking piece of steel, that's it.
Kwang Li, what's all this about your wife, Ming Chung, being kidnapped?
No savvy.
Sure you do. Now tell me, where is she?
No savvy. Guang Helen.
You're not telling your troubles to the police, eh?
Kong Li speak only Chinese, Chow. Him no savvy.
Well, you savvy all right, Yim Lung. What's this story about his wife being kidnapped?
No kidnap Ming Chung. Ming Chung all right. She...
She's just gone on a little visit to some friends, I suppose.
Yes, that's right. Yes, she go visit. No trouble.
That's a pretty villainous-looking knife Kwang Li has there. What's he going to do with that daidaw?
Him just yuk da, meat knife.
Yuk da, eh? You're sure it isn't a knife for Chinese meat?
No, Chinaman make no trouble. No tongue fight.
You're not fooling anybody, you know, Yim Lung. I know just as well as you do that there's bad blood between the Chiyuks and the Loyers.
Oh, no.
And since I've been here, I'm convinced that Kwang Li's wife, Ming Chung, has been stolen. If any trouble starts, Yim Lung, you're going to have to answer for it.
Oh, no trouble, Chow. Big mistake. Someone tell you bad dream.
You're the leader of one of these tongs, Yim Lung. It's up to you to keep the peace. Now, just remember what I said. That's all.
Oh, very much peace. No trouble.
Let's go, Baggett.
Okay.
It appear, Lim Lung, to be special delight of foreign devils, police, to cast their shadow over the justice of our people.
You speak words of truth, Kong Li. But in case of stolen Ming Chung, your wife, there shall be no interference with that justice. Soon we shall know the name of the one who has desecrated your house. Then retribution shall be swift and sure, my friend. You have my word.
I shall know no peace until such time as Ming Chung is returned into my keeping.
I understand, Kong Li. For even as you love Ming Chung, so do I love Fa Ling, the slave girl of Su Hu Ying.
You have youth, Yim Lung. It is right that you should love.
Also have the gods seen fit that she should smile on me.
You are most fortunate. And so this Su Hu Ying will not sell his little Noi.
One does not sell a priceless jewel, Kong Li.
A pearl that is beyond price in hands of a wise man may yet be a worthless toy in hands of fool.
You who have not seen Fa Ling cannot know her delicate beauty, her celestial loveliness.
And Su Ying, who has seen her often, may be equally ignorant of the qualities of which you speak.
You believe he would sell Fa Ling?
I am old, Yim Lung, and I have learned that one must first ask before he may receive an answer. Also, there are few masters who will turn their backs when a proper offering is made for a slave.
May the gods smile richly upon you, Kong Li. You have brought me hope.
Fa Ling?
Sungoto?
My little prisoner Ming Chung, she is still unhappy?
Her eyes are never dry, Master.
You have seen that she has every comfort, Fa Ling?
Yes, Master. It is her wish that I carry a message to Guang Liye, her husband. Ming Chung has offered money, jewels, if I do her bidding.
And you told her?
I am obedient to my master.
You refused. It is well for you.
It was also her wish that I inform some member of the Ji-Yok Tong that she is here. Ming Chung is very unhappy, Master.
But not so unhappy as you, had you done as she asked. You have guarded Ming Chung well, Fa Ling, and you shall have your reward.
My reward, Master?
I do not forget those who serve me, well or ill. Yes, you shall have your reward.
May I dare to ask?
What it shall be, Fa Ling? Why not? You are to have new master.
A new master?
Yes, Fa Ling. He come for you with morning sun, so tonight you may rest. You need not guard Ming Chung, for our little prisoner of love is no longer here.
Ming Chung has escaped, Master?
My slave girls do not escape, Fa Ling. Ming Chung has been removed to place of greater safety, For tonight the tongmen of the Chiyuk prowl the streets in search of her.
Sungoto,
Yes, Faling?
this new master.
My little lotus blossom would like to know his name. Curiosity poorly becomes a Noyi, Faling.
But, Master, is it to Yim Lung you sell me?
You love Yim Lung?
I love him, Master.
Have I not given you my word that you shall have your reward, Faling? It is because I have learned of your love for Yim Lung that tomorrow you shall be sold.
Then tomorrow you shall sell me to Yim Lung. Oh, Master, may it God...
Tomorrow I shall sell you, Faling, but not to Yim Lung.
Not to Yim Lung.
You have been traitor to my house, Faling. Behind my back you have given your smiles to Yim Lung.
But I love him, Sungoto.
And because you love him, your just punishment shall be the more bitter. For now you are caught in the spider's web of your sly deceit, Faling.
Master.
Tomorrow you become the slave of Sing Chong, and tomorrow you shall sail for the distant shores of China.
To China? No, Master,
For
no.
you who have lived your life in America, China will not be pleasant. Especially will it not be pleasant in the house of the aged Sing Chong.
No, no.
And never, my little pear blossom, never again in this life shall you set your eyes upon your lover.
On my knees, Sungoto. I grovel at your feet. Only...
I leave you now, my little Noyi, safely locked in your room. May your dreams be most pleasant.
Sungoto.
Have patience. I swear.
Yim Lung, Soho Ying.
Why do you come here, Yim Lung?
With your permission, Su Hu Ying, I come to ask if little slave girl Fa Ling is for sale.
Fa Ling shall be sold, Yim Lung, but not to you.
I have money.
All the treasure of the Forbidden City would not suffice if you were her buyer.
Have I in some way offended you, Su Hu Ying?
I have no further word with you, Yim Lung.
But I have further words with you, Su Hu Ying. Even though you sell the little Fa Ling to someone other than I, it is still my purpose to have her.
Perhaps, but if so, you will journey far. For tomorrow, Yim Lung, Fa Ling departs from America forever.
You lie.
Your choice of words is unfortunate, Yim Lung. You will observe the outline of gun within my sleeve. Gods have not seen fit to endow me with patience which graces so many of our race.
I shall not forget this occasion, Su Hu Ying. We shall meet again.
And when that time comes, Yim Lung, you shall take your place within the tomb of your dishonorable ancestors.
Fa Ling! Fa Ling, wake up. Come to the window.
Who is it calling to me?
Fa Ling, come to the window.
Oh, it is you, Yim Lung.
Unlock the window, little blossom.
Yes, Yim Lung. Yim Lung.
My little blossom. My little Fa Ling.
Oh.
We must be quiet. Su Hu Ying must not know.
Su Hu Ying. It was he who stole the wife of Wang Li Ye.
I know, Fa Ling. He thought to find a place of greater safety for Ming Chung, so she left his house tonight.
That is true. But how could you know?
The tongmen of Chiyuk are alert, little flower. Ming Chung has been returned into the keeping of her husband. Su Hu Ying should employ greater judgment in the selection of his henchmen.
Ming Chung is safe, Yim Lung. I am glad.
But now we must hasten, Fa Ling. There is a ladder to descend, and once free of this house of ill fortune, you shall belong to me, little blossom. To me alone.
And there shall be no journey to China with Sing Chong?
In its place shall be the journey to happiness with Yim Lung.
Joyously do I go with you, Yim Lung, for now I shall be your No-Yi.
No, Fa Ling. You shall not be the No-Yi of Yim Lung. We shall kneel together before the gods and make our vows.
You mean I am to be your wife?
Yes, little lotus blossom. I mean, you are to be my wife.
Why have we come here to this strange house with Guang Li?
Yim Lung, you have heard something, Kong Li. A footstep in the corridor.
Su Hu Ying, koi le lom tay.
Su Hu Ying, he is coming here. He will kill us,
I
Yim
think
Lung.
not, Fa Ling, but it is best you were quiet.
How could Su Hu Ying know I was here?
Because I made certain that he should know, little flower.
No, Yim Lung.
Even before love comes duty, you will stand where you are, Fa Ling. The door is not locked, and when Su Hu Ying enters, he shall gaze upon your beauty for the last time.
You mean to kill him? No, Yim Lung, you cannot.
Silence! You will do as I command. I take my position against the wall, this hammer ready in my hand. When the door shall open, it will conceal me. Now.
So, Fa Ling, it was true. You were here. I find you at last.
Su Hu Ying, you have a gun. You are going to kill me?
No, this gun is not for you, know ye. One does not destroy beauty with gun. That is duty of knife. Tell me, Fa Ling, where shall I find Yim Lung?
You shall find him directly behind you, Su Hu Ying. Do not turn about.
Oh? Then this clever little scheme is of your devising, Yim Lung? So, I had not thought that you were so...
No! Yim Lung, you have killed him.
Not yet, little Blossom. He is stunned only. Have patience. The knife, Kong Li.
It is here, Yim Lung.
Now it remains only for you to loosen his collar, my friend. And the head, if it were pulled back just a little farther.
That's it.
And now I strike to kill. So!
Oh!
The stain has been removed from the house of Kong Li, and the god of justice is avenged.
Following Su Hu Ying's disappearance, friends and relatives carried on a quiet investigation of their own for a number of days without notifying police. And then, 6 weeks after the murder, the dismembered body of the slain Chinese was discovered by employees in the baggage department of a depot in San Francisco, wedged into an unclaimed trunk. The trunk was traced to Los Angeles, where Detective Lieutenants Baggett and Philkus finally succeeded in locating the expressman who had carried it to the local depot.
You're sure the trunk you identified was the one you handled for the Chinese girl you told us about?
Sure, I'm positive about it.
What makes you so sure?
Well, for one thing, it's a funny-looking trunk, and I'd never forget that Chinese girl. She was a beaut.
Uh-huh.
This here's the room.
You're sure this is the room, now?
Yeah, dumpy joint, ain't it?
Hey, look here, Baggett. Somebody's cut the center right out of the carpet. Why do you suppose anybody want to do that?
I don't know. Let's have a look at it.
I think I begin to see now what the reason was.
It looks like some sort of stain around the edge of the cut.
Unless I'm badly mistaken, those stains are blood. The center of the rug was soaked through, so they cut it out.
George, I believe you're right, Philkus.
You can go now, old man. We'll call you if we need any additional information from you.
Who, me?
Yes, you.
But things was just beginning to get interesting.
Yeah, I know. That's why we think it'd be better if you'd leave. We can't let anybody in here until the investigation is over.
Well, okay, but I wish you'd let me stick around.
Sorry, but we can't do it.
Okay. So long.
So long. Thanks for helping us.
Doesn't look like there's any mistake about this being the room where Su Hu Ying was killed.
I agree, but why? What was he killed for?
Do you suppose the trouble between the Chi Yuks and the Lo Yi Tongs had anything to do with it?
Hardly. Su Hu Ying didn't belong to either Tong.
What about the kidnapping of Ming Chung? That might have had something to do with it.
It's just possible that it might have been Su Hu Ying who kidnapped Ming Chung. He had a weakness for pretty faces, you know.
I begin to get it now. Because if that was the case, then it would be up to Yim Lung to avenge the kidnapping, since Kwang Li Ye and his wife were under Yim's protection while they were in Los Angeles.
Exactly. Another thing, Yim Lung, Kwang Li, and Fa Ling have all disappeared.
That's true, but even if we find them, there's not a chance of making them talk. And this doesn't go with Chinese.
The men won't talk, maybe, but the slave girl might.
Well, then the first thing to do, as I see it, is to find Fa Ling.
Philkus and Baggett notified law enforcement agencies throughout the state, and as a result, uncovered the trail of the missing Fa Ling. Within 4 days after the finding of the body of Su Hu Ying, she was arrested in Visalia, California, and returned to Los Angeles. Philkus and Baggett persuaded her to reveal the hideout of Yim Lung.
Down this hall, Fa Ling?
Yes, Yim Lung. Him hide here.
How did it happen you and Yim Lung didn't stay together instead of you going away?
Because we think nobody noticed one China girl travel by herself. Then by and by, when police stopped looking, Yim Lung follow me.
You should have stayed here, Fa Ling. I doubt if the police could have found this place.
Maybe the police not find me here, but the friends of Su Hu Ying, they would find me.
There's 3 doors here at the end of the hall. Which one is it, Fa Ling?
It is this one, Chao.
Suya.
Chow. Open the door, Yim Lung.
What want, Chao?
My lord.
Well, so Kwang Li Ye is here too, is he? That saves us a lot of trouble.
Why you come see us?
Yim Lung, you and Kwang Li Ye are under arrest for the murder of Su Hu Ying.
No sabe Su Hu Ying murder. Go Kyo. I think maybe you... Ah, Fa Ling. Ah.
Yim Lung.
You bring Chao to me.
Yim Lung, do you hate me? There was no other way. We try to steal our happiness by being wicked. The gods, they have frowned upon us. It is fate, Yim Lung.
I think maybe you are right, Little Blossom. The gods have frowned.
Please, Yim Lung, do not hate me.
Hate you? How can I hate you, my little Fa Ling?
Yim Lung, I will not leave you. I will wait, Yim Lung. If you must face the white man's law, I will be near. And always I will be true. And maybe someday, Yim Lung.
Maybe someday the gods will smile again, Little Blossom.
It is written, only eyes that have held tears may see the rainbow.
In just a moment, we shall hear the concluding facts regarding our story. Remember, a man is known by the company he keeps, and a product is known by the people who buy it. In a market full of gasolines, select the one that is most highly endorsed, most consistently used not by just anybody, but by those who know the best and buy the best. Rio Grande's new, all-purpose cracked gasoline. And now, Chief Holman.
Yim Lung was tried and found guilty of murder and received a sentence of life imprisonment in San Quentin Penitentiary. It was impossible to connect Fei Ling and Kwang Li Yet directly with the murder, although the old man was later deported. Regardless of our sympathetic feelings in the matter, Yim Lung's was another crime that failed to pay.
Thank you, Chief Holman.
Los Angeles Police calling all cars, attention all cars, a cancellation of broadcast 300 regarding a murder. Suspect in this case is now in custody. That's all. Rosenquist.
Narrator Barry Kroger bidding you good night for Rio Grande.
Next week at this time, Rio Grande will present Six of a Kind. This is the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Calling all cars, a copyrighted program created by Rio Grande.
Seattle Police calling all cars, attention all cars, broadcast 301 regarding a murder. Assist the Bremerton and Kitsap County officers. And that's all. Rosenquist.
By special appointment to His Majesty the King.
The right to advertise that declaration is a most coveted honor with every business concern in Great Britain. It establishes the outstanding quality of a product in the eyes of all British subjects, for it to have been chosen by their monarch. Here at home, an equally high distinction is enjoyed by serving the most discerning users of gasoline and thus earning the tribute first in public service. As the sensational motor fuel chosen by those who know the most about gasoline, the motor fuel that provides more police cars, ambulances, fire engines, and other public serving equipment with a performance that is equal to every emergency. All-purpose Rio Grande Cracked deserves that title. Drive into the red and white Rio Grande station in your neighborhood in the morning and let one tank full convince you, as it has thousands of others, that the new Rio Grande Cracked is the all-purpose gasoline that makes every car do everything better. Rio Grande Cracked, the most highly recommended gasoline sold in the West, the motor fuel that is first in public service. The facts around which tonight's story has been built were taken from the confidential files of the Seattle, Washington Police Department. We have therefore asked Chief of Police William N. Sears to prepare a foreword to our program.
Crimes without motive are the hardest of all crimes to solve. Where robbery is the motive, it might be said that so far as police work is concerned, motive is lacking. The man who kills as a result of this sort of crime is usually a methodical, hard, cold, cruel, and careful man, one who leaves little trace of his identity. Such is the type of man with whom our story tonight deals. But as bare of identifying clues as this case was, it proved a potent example of the inevitable end of a life of crime. It proves that no matter how careful the criminal is in concealing his identity, sooner or later he will be brought to justice and will be made to pay for his crime.
On the afternoon of July 13th, 1933, two men entered the reception room of a doctor whose offices were located in the downtown section of Seattle, Washington.
You watch out here, Blackie, while I go in the doc's private office and operate on him.
Hadn't I better come with you?
No, I can take care of this job by myself.
Whatever you say, Leo.
Oh, I didn't know there was anyone out here in the reception room. My nurse is gone for the day.
Yeah, we know all that. Now get back in that office.
But I don't understand just what...
You heard what I said. Get back in there.
Well, that hammer. What are you going to do with that hammer?
You'll find out.
What?
Now, just close this door so we won't disturb anybody. And now, Doc, you're going to get yours.
Why are you doing this to me?
Shut up!
That the doctor was not killed, but the savage beating he received from the hammer wielded by his assailant was no fault of his would-be murderers. 4 months later, on the evening of November 20th, 1933, Sam Heaslip, a special investigator for Governor Meyer of the state of Oregon, was returning to his home in Portland.
Just a minute there, fella.
Are you talking to me?
Yeah. Are you Sam Heaslip?
Yeah. Why?
Been doing some snooping around for the governor, haven't you?
Oh, what business is that of yours?
Just this, wise guy.
Twice the deadly hand had struck, this time fatally, and still there remained no clue as to the identity of the brutal killer. For this was only the beginning. As darkness closed down on the little resort of Erland's Point near Bremerton, Washington, on the night of March 31st, 1934, the howling of 3 dogs, cooped up in a parked sedan, became increasingly annoying to the residents. 2 of them, K.A. Erland, pioneer settler and founder of the Point, and his nephew, Tom Saunders, decided to investigate.
You know, it gives me the creeps to listen to that howling.
Oh, the poor devils. They've been shut up in that car for 3 days.
Yes, I know. It's a darn shame to treat animals that way.
I can't understand the Claflins permitting it. But that car belongs to friends of theirs who are apparently staying with them.
I don't know, but I can't stand that howling much longer. Let's try to let those dogs out for a run.
Oh, yes. Maybe they'll be quiet then.
Did you bring your flashlight with you?
Yep, I got it right here.
Flash it in the car.
3 of them. And just frantic to get out.
The doors all seem to be locked.
Yeah.
Looks like we're going to have to leave them in there.
Well, let's go up to the Claflins' house. If anybody's home, we'll get them to let the dogs out. Otherwise, nobody in the Point here will be able to sleep tonight.
Okay. Doesn't look much like anybody's home, though. No lights on anywhere. The place is black as pitch.
Well, we'll try anyway. The doors to the garage are open, and Claflin's car's in there all right. Maybe they're not out.
You'd think they'd have a fire going on a cold night like this, but I don't see any smoke coming from the chimney.
We'll try the back door here.
That's a good idea. If they're asleep, they can hear us better back here.
Mr. Claflin. Mr. Claflin. No, they don't seem to be home. I can't imagine people being so selfish as to go away and leave dogs locked up like that.
Let me have that flashlight a minute, will you, please?
Yeah, sure.
This thing has got me curious. I'm going to flash it into that window there.
What for? If there's nobody home, it won't do any good to...
My Lord! Come here, quick!
Huh? What is it?
Look, down there, on the floor.
Why, it's a man lying there.
But his face! Look at his face!
Good Lord, Tom. He's dead.
That battered face!
Turn off the light, Tom. I don't want to look anymore.
What'll we do?
Do? I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to get out of here and call the sheriff.
Within a few minutes after Erlin's tumbled words came to him over the telephone wires, Sheriff D.L. Blankenship of Kitsap County was on his way from Bremerton to the scene of the ghastly discovery. With him was his brother, Under Sheriff Rush Blankenship. With the arrival of the two officers, a storm that had been impending suddenly broke, and rain came down in torrents.
I'm afraid this rain's going to play havoc with any footprints that might be around.
Uh-huh.
Is this the window you shined the light through?
Yes, that's the one.
Well, we'll have a look. Yeah, I see. And there. Look over there.
Where?
Over by that corner. That's the body of a woman. She's sprawled partly on the floor, with one arm flung across a daybed.
Good Lord, two of them.
Come on, let's get in there. It's locked. Well, we'll fix that. Jump in, Jupiter. Look at the condition of this kitchen.
It looks like there's been a fight in here, sure enough.
That's no lie. The place is a wreck. Broken bottles, dishes, smashed cans of food all over the place.
Not only that, there's blood smeared over the floor and along the walls.
My nerves are jumpy as a racing colt.
I think the light switch is just to the left of the door.
Thanks. Well, it looks like murder, all right. Look there. Man's wrists are tied in front of him with a strip of cloth. Both of them were gagged, and the woman has a blindfold over her eyes.
Looks like she tried to get free. The blindfold's been pulled loose quite a bit.
Well, whoever did this walked in on them while they were having a little game of poker. See, the cards and poker chips are still on the table between them.
It's a funny thing that table wasn't knocked over. Everything else we've seen in this house has been. There's poker hands lying there just as they were dealt.
That's so. But here, see here. 4 hands were dealt out. So more than those two must have been playing.
Where do you suppose Mr. and Mrs. Claflin are, Sheriff?
Well, aren't these Mr. and Mrs. Claflin?
No, they're not, Rush. I knew that myself. At least I know who the woman is. She's Sally Dupree. She lives in Bremerton.
The man's name is Gordon Wheeler. He lives right next door here. Takes care of the Claflin's place when they're away.
Wheeler, huh? Well, somebody must have been pretty mad at him. You see, he was shot right between the eyes. Must have killed him instantly. But just the same, his face has been all battered up.
Looks like the girl was shot twice.
Yeah?
Once through the neck, and the other bullet went right down through the top of her head.
See.
Killer must have been standing right over her.
Well, I can't understand who'd want to kill Sally Dupree. She and her husband are show people. They own those dogs outside. Use them in their act.
I wonder where her husband is now.
I don't know, and I'm beginning to wonder where the Claflins are, too.
You don't suppose they killed these two and then beat it somewhere, do you, Sheriff?
I don't suppose anything yet. I say, let's take a look at the rest of the house. What's the next room down the hall here?
I believe the bathroom comes next.
Bathroom, huh? Well, this bathroom's a mess, too. Blood all over the floor and on the towels. Now, what's that door at the end of the hall?
The Claflin's room.
Yeah, well, let's have a look in there, too.
Yeah, maybe we can find a motive for this thing.
Great Scott.
What is it, Sheriff?
Another one. Look, that woman lying there on the bed.
Where? It's Mrs. Claflin.
And the same thing. Hands bound in front of her, a gag across her nose and mouth, and her eyes covered, too, with a wide piece of adhesive tape.
But she hasn't been shot, Sheriff.
Huh?
Look here. This killing was done with a knife. A deep chest wound and a throat cut, too.
This beats me. I say, here's 2 knives lying on this table, both of them wiped clean.
Sheriff!
Yes, what is it?
There, sticking out of the closet door. A man's leg.
What? Another victim.
Say, how long is this going to go on?
Here, help me pull some of these dresses off that are piled on top of him. Maybe we can identify him.
Right.
Hands tied behind him. Throat cut, head battered in. Looks like his jaw's broken in a dozen places.
Somebody's going crazy to do a thing like this. It's the most horrible thing I've ever seen or heard about.
You're right on that. I know this fellow, too. He's Paul Harvey, a close friend of the Duprees.
You mean Paul Harvey, the bartender over at that Bremerton night spot?
That's right. Hey, let's get away from here for a moment while we collect our thoughts.
The living room is just across the hall there.
All right, let's go in there and see if we can reason this business out.
What do you suppose was the motive, Sheriff?
It looks like revenge murder, but it's too early to say yet. Maybe after we've looked around a little more, we can... Good Lord, look there. Now, this is too much.
Great Scott, Sheriff. This is mass murder.
Where the man lying by the door there? It's Bert Claflin.
Claflin, eh? And the man across the room is Arnold Dupree. Both of them beaten to death.
Hey, look, Sheriff.
Yeah?
Dupree still has the leg of a broken footstool in his hand. That means he put up a fight with the killer.
Well, that's more than can be said for poor Claflin. His hands are tied behind him like the other men's.
Dupree's hands had been tied, too, but he managed to get them loose somehow.
Well, one thing is certain. Whoever did this couldn't have gotten out of here without some kind of injury. The scene in the kitchen and the splintered chairs here in the front room prove there must have been a terrific battle.
That's right, Sheriff. The murderer or murderers are cinched to have gotten bruised or cut up. Might even have a bullet wound.
We've got to send out a general alarm right away. The killer's had more than enough time to get clear of here. Mr. Erlin said those dogs have been in that car for 3 days.
Well, that means this must have happened 3 nights ago.
Exactly. We've got to tip off all the hospitals and police agencies to be on the lookout for any injured parties who can't give a good account of themselves.
You're going to call in, Sheriff?
No, I'm going into Bremerton personally. You stay here and look after things, Rex.
On Easter Sunday, the day following the gruesome discovery of the sextuple murder, Captain Ernie Yoris, head of the Seattle Homicide Squad in Old Cambodia, Chief Criminal Deputy Sheriff of King County, and Deputy Fred Frankie conducted a joint investigation at the Claflin home. Room by room, the house was gone over for every sign of physical evidence.
Well, I think we're beginning to get a little something tangible to work on, boys.
Yes, but there's still a lot of cockeyed angles to this thing, Yoris.
Sure, but then you can't expect everything to dovetail at the very first crack. What do you say, Frankie?
Let's sum this business up and see where we stand. First, the kitchen. We know there was a battle royal there. Men struggling for their lives.
You said it. Everything that wasn't nailed down was either thrown or smashed up in some way.
Yeah, we've got several pieces from broken beer bottles here, each one with scraps of scalp and hair clinging to them. Scraps of scalp and hair that don't belong to any of the victims, so must belong to the killer.
Right. And there's that bullet that was fired toward the back door.
Mm-hmm.
The one we found embedded in the upper part of the door jamb. Was that a wild shot, or did somebody escape from the killer and run out the back way?
That's going to be hard to say. There wasn't any blood outside there, so if anyone did go out that way, they weren't hit.
Still, if someone had gotten away, they'd have made a report to the police, wouldn't they?
Unless the someone who got away was an accomplice, Boudier.
Yeah, but that doesn't make sense.
Maybe not. However, that wild shot was the same type of bullet as the one that finished Mrs. Dupree.
That card room is what puzzles me.
Why?
Why did he stop and fix it up before he fled? Murder, I mean.
Assuming that he did.
Well, we know that the killer cleaned up in the bathroom before leaving. Possibly dressed his wounds, too. Yes, it must have been him.
Yeah?
Because at that time, the others in the house were all dead.
What about those knives we found in the bedroom? They weren't the killers, that's sure.
No, they weren't the killers, Boudier. He probably picked them up in the kitchen.
Yeah.
He wouldn't leave a weapon of his own here. Too much chance that it would identify him.
He was smart enough for that, all right, because he took his gun away with him. Anyway, we can't find it.
Too bad, too. That'd be a big help.
What about that leather thong Claflin's hands were tied with, Frankie? I didn't find anything around here it might have come from.
Well, it looks to me as if it might have come from a pair of high-top boots. Maybe the killer's own boots.
If that's the case, we might start looking for a lumberjack. There's a lot of logging camps around here.
It's worth a try, anyway.
Here's something else that puzzles me. The killer, we know, brought a gun with him. Then why didn't he use it on all his victims? Why use a knife, too?
Chances are he had no more bullets after he'd emptied the cylinder. After that, he fought with, well, whatever he could lay his hands on.
Well, that'd explain why he used the hammer on Claflin and Dupree.
Yes, it would. And you see here? All these indentations of the head of the hammer on the footstool that Dupree was using to fight with when he died.
Yeah?
Well, that proves he used it as a shield against the killer's blows.
Well, the more I think about it, the more it looks like the work of one man. 2 or more men aren't likely to go berserk at the same time.
I'm inclined to agree with that. The coroner said that a good deal of the mutilation of the bodies was done after the people were dead.
The killer must have gone clean off his nut.
Yeah.
A knife wound in the breast killed Mrs. Claflin. Yet the fiend cut her throat and smashed her skull afterwards.
And the same thing goes to the bartender, Paul Harvey.
Yes, and a knife wound in the back of the neck finished Bert Claflin. The killer wasn't satisfied with that either.
And look at poor Dupree. 21 hammer holes smashed through his skull. This is the work of one man, all right. You'll never find 2 pulling a stunt like this.
Still, how could one man bind up 6 people?
Well, I don't know.
Now, here's something else. What do you boys make of the heel from a woman's shoe that I found in the backyard? And that blood-stained ring of Gordon Wheeler's that I found near it?
Do you suppose that broken heel means there's a woman mixed up in the case somewhere? A woman we don't know about?
I doubt it. Somehow I can't picture a woman having anything to do with a mess like this.
Well, cherchez la femme. There must be some explanation for that heel.
I suppose there is, but what?
Who's that coming in?
Chief Tribble, Bremerton Police.
Hello, Chief.
Hello, boys. Find anything yet?
Yeah, a little, but not much.
There's something that might help. I just talked to a fellow who says he saw a man he knows going over on the morning boat to Seattle day before yesterday. Said the fellow was all bandaged up.
All bandaged up, eh?
Yeah.
Who was the man you talked to, Trevor?
He's a Navy Yard worker. A fellow by the name of Travers. Joe Travers.
Did Joe know the name of this fellow he saw?
He said he thought it was Leo, something or other.
Didn't remember the last name, huh?
No, he said he doesn't know the fellow very well, but when he saw him bandaged up like that, he just thought he'd ask him what had happened.
And what did this Leo something or other say?
He said he'd gotten into a fight in some beer joint.
I see. Well, boys, I'm shoving off.
What's your hurry? Where are you going, Bodie?
I'm going to see this fella, Joe Travers. Get him to give us a description of his bandaged friend, and then I'm going to send that description all over the coast.
Well, do as you like, but the chances are the man got hurt just as he said he did in the beer joint brawl.
Maybe he did, and maybe he didn't. But if I can find him, he's going to have a lot of tall explaining to do.
Okay, then I think we'll get a lot farther with the fingerprints we pick up here.
That's just it, boys. It's the worst rub of all. There isn't a fingerprint in the house that doesn't belong to one of the victims.
Nope. What's that? How do you know, Frankie?
Because I haven't found any, for one thing.
Oh.
For the others, if you'll notice some of the crimson smears on the walls, both in here and in the bedroom, you'll see what I mean.
You mean like the smears by the door here?
That's right.
Well, what does it mean?
It means that whoever made them wore gloves. None of the victims wore gloves, so draw your own conclusions.
6 months went by. A year, and still no trace of the killer. Although police of Bremerton and Seattle continued their feverish search for the fiend, every lead drew them into a blind alley. Arrests were made, but investigation soon cleared the suspects, and they were released. Through it all, Chief Deputy Bodia persisted in attaching significance to the name Leo, the name of the bandaged man who had been seen on the boat. And then, late one evening in September of 1935, a matron in the Seattle County Jail came to Bodia's office.
May I speak with you a minute, Mr. Bodia?
Why, of course.
One of my prisoners has been making a terrible fuss nearly every night. I don't know what to do with her.
A fuss? What kind of a fuss?
Well, she seems to have nightmares, talks wildly in her sleep, even screams. She's doing it now.
That's odd. Let's go in there.
Oh, I wish you would. She has me worried.
Say, Al, I'm going to the jail for a few minutes. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Come along.
Oh, no. No, please. You see? It's like I told you.
I can't understand a word. What's she talking about?
Wait a minute. You'll see what I mean.
Oh, Leo. Leo, don't! Leo, don't!
There, you see.
Who is she?
Betty Hodges. She's in here because her husband was mixed up in some kind of burglary. They're going to accuse her of receiving some of the stolen goods.
Uh-huh. Well, now listen carefully. There's something I want you to do for me.
Yes?
Keep that woman by herself. Listen to everything she says during the nightmares and keep track of it. Above all, don't let her know that she's talking in her sleep.
Yes, sir.
I'll get in touch with you from time to time.
Seattle Police Department.
Get Detective Richard Mahoney on the wire for me if he's there, will you, please?
Just a moment. Mahoney speaking.
Say, Dick, this is Bodie up at the sheriff's office.
Yeah? What's on your mind?
I just learned you were in charge of the case against Betty and Cecil Hodges.
Yeah, that's right.
Do you know if either one of them knows a man named Leo?
Leo? Leo who?
Well, I don't know his last name.
Well, I wouldn't know. Oh, say, wait a minute. Come to think of it, Hodges did mention somebody by that name.
Good. In what way? I mean, what was it in reference to?
Hodges has been trying to spring his wife from jail. Says she has nothing to do with the rap against him.
Yeah?
Well, he wants to make a deal with me. Says if I see that the charges against her are dropped, he'll give me a hot tip on the slugging of that doctor and the shooting of Sam Heaslip down in Portland.
He will, eh?
Well, that's what he says. I haven't paid much attention to it. That's an old gag with some of these birds, you know.
Well, where does the name Leo fit into this?
Well, Hodges let it slip out once while he was trying to swap his information for his wife's release.
Listen, Mahoney, I'm certain we've run onto something hot. Come on over here to the jail. We're going to talk turkey to your prisoner tonight. All right, Hodges, are you ready to talk?
You guys, give me your word you'll kill that bum rap against my wife.
If what you have to say is on the up and up and worth it, we'll play ball with you.
Okay. Well, I knocked the name of the bird who slugged that doc and bumped off Sam Heaslip.
All right, who is this bird?
His name's Leo Hall.
How do we know you're giving us a right steer?
Because Leo wanted me in a Heaslip killing with him. I went to Portland and looked over the layout. I didn't want nothing to do with it.
Why not?
I don't want nothing to do with murder. I'd at least make a move to keep Leo from getting sore.
How do we know you went to Portland for Leo?
Give me a piece of paper and a pencil, and I'll draw you the layout of Heaslip's apartment.
All right. Here you are.
Thanks. The door here. Table over here.
Yeah, George, that's right. Okay, Hodges, we'll take your word for it.
Yeah, but that's not all you're going to tell us about Leo, is it, Hodges?
What do you mean?
Don't you think you better tell us what Leo Hall knows about that mass murder over Erlin's Point, too?
How'd you know about that?
Didn't anybody ever tell you it's a cop's business to know things?
I ain't saying nothing about that.
You want your wife sprung, don't you, Hodges?
But you guys said you'd spring her if I told you what I knew about the other jobs.
Yeah, we said we'd turn her loose if you told us all we wanted to know.
Okay. Yeah, Leo pulled that one, too.
How do you know?
My wife was with him that night.
Oh.
But she didn't have nothing to do with the killings. Leo forced her to go along with him.
You mean she was with him in that house while he was murdering all those people?
Not all the time. After he'd killed Mrs. Claflin, the bartender, she ran out the back way. She couldn't stand no more.
And Leo just let her go, didn't try to stop her?
Sure he tried to stop her. He even fired his revolver at her when she was going out the back door.
Yeah, all this sounds kind of fishy to me. What about you, Bodia?
Well, I'm not so sure. We found a bullet embedded in the jamb of the rear door, or someone had fired in that direction. Sort of bears out this fellow's story.
I've told you all I know. Now, what about my wife?
All right. We'll see she's released, at least on the rap they're holding her for now.
Thanks.
But we can't guarantee she won't be thrown right back in again in connection with the case you just told us about.
With the killer's full name in their possession, Bodia and Mahoney soon found others who knew him. Miss Elsa Martin, when asked if she had seen Hall around March of 1934, replied,
Why, yes. That must have been around the time he was hurt in the automobile accident.
Then Dr. W.H. McFarland was located and questioned.
And your records show that you treated Leo Hall for cuts about the head on March 29th of last year, Doctor?
Yes, here they are. I found it necessary to take 24 stitches in his scalp.
That makes it just 2 days before the murders were discovered.
I suppose Hall offered some sort of explanation for his wounds.
Oh, yes. He said he was parked in a car with some woman and the police came by and beat him up.
Huh. Well, wasn't a story like that a little surprising to you?
Not particularly. I knew Leo was always getting into scrapes.
Where'd you first meet Hall, Doctor?
At an ice skating rink where I sometimes go. He did a great deal of skating.
I see. Well, thank you, Doctor, for your information.
Not at all. Not at all. Good day, gentlemen.
Good day. As far as I'm concerned, that clinches it, Mahoney.
The guy sure got his stories mixed. He tells the fellow on the boat he got hurt in a beer parlor brawl. Then he tells the girl he was in an automobile accident. And he winds up by telling the doctor he was beaten up by cops.
And Leo Hall hung out around ice skating rinks, eh?
Well, what's so odd in that?
That leather thong that was tied around Claflin's wrists. Just as like as not, that thong could have been a shoestring from an ice skate.
By George, that's right. Well, what's on the menu now?
First, we send out word across the country to arrest Leo Hall and hold him for us. Then we have a nice little heart-to-heart talk with Betty Hodges.
When approached by the officers, Betty Hodges was obviously terrified and refused to make a statement, not at least while Leo Hall remained at liberty. But on October 24th, word came from Portland, Oregon, that Hall had been arrested there and was being held. Armed with this latest development, Bodia and Mahoney again confronted the girl.
Don't you think you better tell us what you know about this case, Betty?
No, I'm afraid to.
Afraid of Leo Hall?
Yeah.
There's no reason for you to be. Hall was arrested in Portland this morning.
Arrested?
Yes. If you take my advice, you'll talk before he does.
How do I know you're not lying to me?
Well, here's the wire from the Portland police. Want to see it?
Yeah.
There you are.
Oh.
Now, will you talk, Betty?
I don't know.
Maybe I can help you to make up your mind. I've got the heel you lost when you left the Claflin house on the night of the murder. Does that mean anything to you?
Yeah. Oh, what do you want to know?
When did you first meet Hall? I mean, just before you went to the Claflin home with him.
On March 28th. I met him downtown. You see, he's a friend of my husband's as well as mine.
Yeah, go on.
Well, we got to talking about parties. And I told him about a party I'd been on at the Claflins at Bremerton, and how they were very wealthy and gave swell parties. And,
what did he say to that?
Well, he said Dad gave him a swell idea, that we were going to Bremerton right away. When I asked him why, he said maybe to rob the Claflins. What? Gee, I thought he was only kidding.
Yeah, some joke. What happened then?
Oh, then he went and got a sack that had a gun and a blackjack and some rolls of adhesive tape in it. I got kind of scared then, and I asked him again what he was going to do.
And he still said he was going to rob the Claflins?
Yeah, I tried to talk him out of it, but he forced me to go with him. Said he'd kill me if I didn't.
So, of course, you went?
Sure.
Yeah, well, what happened after you got into the house?
Everybody but Mr. Wheeler and Mr. Dupree were sitting in a little back room playing cards.
Where were Wheeler and Dupree?
They'd gone off after some beer. Leo walked into the room first, and I followed him.
All right, folks, this is a holdup.
Oh.
Shut up, all of you. All right, Betty, tape him up like
All
I told
right.
you. Hey, who's that?
That's Sally's husband and Mr. Wheeler coming back with the beer. Oh, please don't hurt them.
Okay, Gordon, just leave the case on the floor. I'll put it on ice in a few minutes. Come along in the other room. Yeah.
All right, you two line up by the wall.
That's it.
Tape up these 2 mugs, Betty.
Well, what's the meaning
Shut
of
up.
this?
I'll get to you guys later. Take the rings off the women, Betty.
Oh, don't tear them off. Here, I'll take them off myself.
Okay, let her take them off.
I feel rather ill. Do you mind if I go to my room and lie down?
I suppose not. I'll go with you, so don't try anything funny.
Oh, I never thought you'd do anything like this to me, Betty Hodges.
Oh, so you recognize it, do you? It's just going to be too bad for you. All of you.
Leo, what are you going to do?
You'll see, babe.
Leo! Don't, Leo, don't!
Just wait. You ain't seen nothing yet.
Leo, I'm leaving. I can't stand
Come back here, do you hear me? Come back.
Oh, no.
Come back, you little fool, or I'll shoot.
So I ran for miles, I guess. It was horrible.
Yes, I can well imagine it was.
That's when I broke off my heel, I suppose. Right after Leo took that shot at me. What? It scares me just thinking about him.
Unless I'm very much mistaken, it's his turn to be scared now. When he finds out what the state of Washington does with their mad dogs.
In just a moment, we shall hear the concluding facts regarding our program. In talking to your friends about all-purpose Rio Grande Cracked, emphasize that this sensationally performing motor fuel is an exact blend of 6 power-developing ingredients as compared with the 3 found in most ordinary gasolines. Keep your gas tank filled with all-purpose Rio Grande Cracked, the gasoline that is first in public service.
Leo Hall was tried in Portland, convicted, and hanged. Betty Hodges was acquitted since it was impossible to prove her acquiescence in the case. Hall's story is another conclusive proof of the losing nature of crime.
Seattle police calling all cars. Attention all cars. Cancellation of broadcast 301 regarding a murder. Suspect in this case was hanged. That's all. Rosenquist.
This is your narrator, Frederick Lindsley, bidding you good night for Rio Grande.
Next week at this time, Rio Grande will present Murder in the Morning. This is the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Next week, Calling All Cars will be heard at a new time, 7 to 7:30 on Tuesday night, and each Tuesday night at that time thereafter.
Calling All Cars, a copyrighted program created by Rio Grande.
Oakland police calling all cars. Attention all cars to broadcast 302 regarding a murder. The victims refused to give any description of suspect. That's all. Rosenquist.
Nowadays, when many of us are concerned with the possibility of a higher cost of living, I'd like to say a few words about the lower cost of better motoring. There's only one way for you and Rio Grande's revolutionary gasoline to become friends, and that is to try it. It stands to reason that if the best authorities, those who buy the most, drive the most, use and endorse this great new gasoline, it will also work best in your car. The operators of police cars, ambulances, fire engines, and other public service equipment were the first to prove the amazing response, smooth acceleration, tremendous power, and additional mileage of this radically new gasoline. When you drive into your nearest red and white Rio Grande station in the morning, you'll agree with these men and the army of motorists that Rio Grande Cracked is the most highly recommended gasoline of public service sold in the West. The facts around which tonight's story has been written were taken from the files of the Oakland Police Department. We have therefore asked Chief Bodie Wallman of Oakland to prepare a foreword to our program.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is a pleasure for me to be a guest of Calling All Cars once more and to reiterate the theme of this program. The story tonight goes back to 1919, when there was more or less gambling in many cities throughout the United States. Today, I am happy to say that there is comparatively few gambling houses operating in our great country. For years, our department has weeded out these undesirable places which hatch crime. We shall hear tonight of a story in which the perpetrators of a crime left absolutely no trace, yet they were known to their victims from the start. The unwillingness of those victims to identify the killers greatly hampered the police. Today, we get much better cooperation on the part of the citizens. Nevertheless, in spite of obstacles and lack of cooperation, the criminal will learn always that crime cannot pay.
Our story opens far down in the Pacific Ocean on the Philippine Islands. Men in khaki are engaged in target practice.
Hot dog, there's another one.
You sure am hitting them today.
I got a good reason for being so good.
Yeah, I know. Me too. Now, look here. You watch this one.
You ain't so bad yourself, but you ain't seen nothing yet. Watch this.
A bullseye sure is a foot high. You sure is getting good.
Hey, just you wait till we get back to the States. Just you wait.
And now we skip several months. Our scene shifts to Oakland, California. It is almost 2 o'clock on Sunday morning, August 3rd, 1919.
Police headquarters. Inspector Gallagher speaking.
This is Patrolman Garcia. I'm out in the colored section.
Yeah?
You better get out here pronto. There's a whole house full of dead people.
Hey, what's the address?
1733 Gosson. For the love of Mike, hurry.
That must be the house there.
Flash your light up on that door.
Yeah, this is it. 1733. And look, the door's wide open, too.
Let's go.
I wonder where Garcia is. I thought he'd be out in front to meet us.
You don't suppose he's hit too, do you?
How'd he sound over the phone? Like he was hit?
No, just sort of scared or worried. Not quite natural.
Funny, the door's still open.
Yeah. Sure dark in this hallway. You can't... Hey, listen. Did you hear what I heard?
Yeah. Sounded like it came from over there.
Flash your light around. Must have come from behind that door. Come on.
Where the devil is Garcia?
We'll know soon. Probably back of that door. Get your gun ready. All right. Open the door carefully.
Okay.
Well, I'll be darned. Garcia.
Oh, thank heaven you got here, Inspector. This is a terrible mess.
You sure gave us a scare. We thought you were dead. Why'd you meet us out in front?
Oh, I'm sorry, Inspector. These people are hurt pretty bad. I've been dressing their wounds.
Good Lord, what a mess. What happened? An army walk through here and have target practice?
I don't know, Inspector McSorley. This is pretty much the way I found everything.
And I called an ambulance.
Speakeasy, huh?
Yes, sir.
Furniture broken, tables overturned, and blood. Say, how on earth did that blood get on the walls and the floor?
I don't know, sir.
Must have been quite a fight. Well, let's get down to business. Who are all these people?
I don't know. I've been too busy trying to bandage them and administer first aid.
The one over there in the expensive-looking tuxedo seems to be about done for.
Yes, sir.
Who's the girl crying over him?
I don't know.
Mighty good-looking girl. McSorley and I are trying to find out something.
Yes, sir.
Those two men in the corner don't seem to be so hard hit.
All right, young lady. What's this all about?
Please go away and leave me alone. Arthur, speak to me. Arthur, speak to me.
I thought Garcia said there was a house full of dead people. These all seem to be alive.
He was probably a little bit startled. What's your name?
Arthur, speak to
Now,
me.
listen, lady, I know how you must feel, but he's hurt bad, and I've got to know how it happened. Now, please, tell me what your name is.
Is you a policeman?
Yes.
Oh. Well, my name's Helen Moore.
Get that, Dick?
Got it.
What's your address?
This here's my home. I live here.
This is a speakeasy, isn't it?
Yes, I run it.
What's his name? Well, you called him Arthur. Arthur what?
Arthur Woodyard.
He live here, too?
No.
Okay. Now, then what happened? Who did this?
We don't know.
Say, listen, buddy, you're in a bad way. Now tell us who did this. Give us a statement before it's too late.
We don't.
I'll tell you how it happened.
Shut up.
Arthur, please.
We don't know nothing about it.
Okay. Better treat him careful, Miss Moore. He hasn't long to live. Oh, what's the use? That's the trouble with these speak murders. It's always an underworld job, and nobody will talk.
Maybe we can get something out of the other two.
I doubt it. They're all scared half to death. We'll try, though.
Let's try the little one first.
Yeah.
We're from police headquarters. We have to have your name.
My name's Sexton, Sam Sexton. But I don't know nothing about it. Honest, I don't.
Uh-huh.
I don't know nothing.
Yeah. You, what's your name?
Thomas Fowler.
What do you know about this?
I ain't got nothing to say.
I was afraid of that.
Yeah, me too. Now, listen, both of you. That man over there is in a bad condition. I doubt if he lives through the rest of the night, and that means that he's been murdered. Do you understand? Murdered.
Yes, and furthermore, somebody's going to have to pay for it.
Sam, you better tell us what you know about this. There's going to be a serious charge placed against somebody. Woodyard's about gone. Murder calls for a lot of explaining.
I don't know, officer. Claire don't. We don't know nothing, does we, Sam?
Nope, nothing.
Okay.
The ambulance is pulling up out in front.
Well, we'll put Woodyard and the girl in that, and these two can ride the patrol wagon. They're not so badly hurt. And as soon as they're all gone, you and I'll try to reconstruct this crime.
The wounded victims were taken away, and the two detectives made a rapid but thorough search of the house, then sat down to try and determine how the shooting occurred.
Let's see now. The killer must have been known here, or Helen Moore wouldn't let him in. Even though this place is in the colored section, it's exclusive.
Yeah. Say, do you notice anything about that picture over there?
Sure. Bunch of swell-looking dames. What is it, a harem scene?
Yeah, but take another look.
I didn't know you were an art critic.
Well, I'm not. But there's a mole on one of the girl's legs that doesn't look very much like... By George, that's what it is.
Say, what's the matter with you? What are you taking it down for?
That's not a mole, it's a bullet hole.
Huh?
Yeah, and here's a slug in the wall. I'll have it dug out in a minute.
I'm going to call you Little Bright Eyes. My golly, if there's one on the wall, there must be several more. Maybe, yeah. Here's one in the leg of this table.
He used a .38 revolver. Here's a slug.
I'll have this one out in a minute.
He sure must have gone hog wild. And just between you and me, the motive wasn't robbery.
What'd you say your slug came from, a .38 revolver?
Yeah?
Well, apparently the killer used two guns, a .38 revolver and a .32 automatic.
A .32 automatic?
Yeah.
Well, that doesn't make sense. There isn't one gunman in 1,000 who uses two different kinds of guns. All two gunmen use the same make and caliber.
Yeah, and furthermore, this place is too much in a shambles for one guy to have done it. Well, that's point number 2. There were 2 or more killers. They must have been known to gain entrance.
And another thing, Woodyard was their target. He's hurt bad, and I'll bet intentionally.
I've been thinking the same thing. Whoever the gunmen were, they came here with the express intention of killing Woodyard. Robbery was secondary.
The Moore woman and the other 2 men were hit by stray bullets.
Yeah. It's certain the 2 men were. The woman got in the way. Don't forget the picture of Woodyard on her dresser upstairs. She got a case on him.
Yeah, that's true. She probably tried to shield Woodyard.
Why don't we try to reconstruct the thing? I'll be one of the killers and you the other, eh?
Sure. I used to be able to recite some Shakespeare. I guess I haven't forgotten how to act. Let's go.
Okay, we start at the front door. Now, whoever we are, we came up and rang the doorbell. Helen Moore must have come to the door.
Well, look who's here. Come on in and bring your buddies with you just in time. Sandy ain't gone here.
We would have greeted her and gone in. She'd have led us down the hall into that door over there and brought us in here.
Now, you boys just make yourself at home. What do
Now, if we knew her, and we must have, we'd have exchanged a few pleasantries. We'd have probably have answered in the abstract, and if, as we suspect, the killers were familiar with Woodyard, would have inquired about him.
Oh, yeah, Arthur, that's fine. There he is over there. Come on over and say hello. Hey, Arthur, there's a couple old friends dropped in to say hello to you.
Oh, hello there, boys. Glad to see you. How you been?
We would answer, all right.
Gonna do a little drinking tonight?
We'd answer maybe and walk over to where Arthur was stationed.
Make yourself at home, boys. I'll be back in a few minutes.
All right, gentlemen. The place is yours.
About now is when we'd begin, isn't it?
Yeah, we'd both whip out our guns, and if this was a grudge killing, tell Woodyard we'd come to get him.
Now, listen, boys. There ain't no use for guns around here. We can settle this thing peacefully.
Yeah, we'd say it couldn't be settled.
Wait a minute. Don't shoot. We can straighten this whole thing out.
What's going on over here? Oh, good Lord, don't shoot him. It wasn't his fault.
We'd tell her to keep out of it, and...
You ain't going to get nothing by killing Arthur. Take the money and clear out of here. We won't even say nothing to the cops. Honest, we won't.
That's right. That's right. Take the money.
Maybe the killers figured they got fleeced and wanted to get even. Huh?
Let the past go. Forget it. Take this money and figure everything square.
Or maybe the girl was the reason.
Yeah, there ain't no reason to dig up the past. I didn't mean no harm, honest, I didn't. I care just as much for you as I always did, but you see, I never really loved you. I love Arthur.
By this time, we'd probably have had enough words and tell the old woman to get out of the way.
You don't know what you're doing. You can't both hang with this. You can both hang. You can't kill a man and get away with it.
Get out of the way, Helen, or you'll get it, too.
There must be some way to settle this without...
Get out of the way. Your number's up, Woodyard.
You killed him! You killed him! Oh, Arthur!
The other killer would have let go just to be sure Woodyard was dead.
There was probably several other shots fired in an attempt to shoot up the joint, and that's how the other two got hit. Most of the others would have scrambled out as best they could.
Yeah, one of the killers would have scooped up the dough, and the two of them beat it. In the wild exodus of customers, the furniture got overturned.
Or else Woodard put up a fight. Don't forget that possibility.
Yeah, that's right. Well, after they'd all gone, just the four of them were left. Woodyard, weak but not dead, would have sworn the rest to secrecy.
And you too, Helen. This is just between the four of us. No use telling the cops anything about it. They'll be taken care of later.
Through the deserted streets, Gallagher and McSorley drove to the Skull Tavern. Garish and weird, catacomb-like booths lined the walls, and from black coffins, loosely jointed skeletons grinned at passers-by. Savage rhythm boomed incessantly from drums on the low stage. The two detectives seated themselves uneasily in a skull-festooned booth.
So, this is the famous Skull Tavern. First time I've ever been in it.
Yeah? Well, I was here once before. Say, how do you like the musicians?
Gruesome-looking bunch. What do they have on? Black tights with skeletons printed on them?
Well, it looks like it. It's those grotesque masks that get me. So you notice how they beat those drums in units of three while the others circulate through the crowd?
Yeah, quite an idea. I suppose they go among the guests.
Sure. There'll be one over here in this way in a few minutes.
Yeah? Say, there's quite a few white people here.
Yeah. Entertainers from other night spots that close early and a few stragglers from uptown out slumming. Oh, here comes the waiter. What you going to have?
You mean that guy in the Undertaker's outfit is a waiter?
Sure. Some idea, huh?
Yeah.
Howdy, gentlemen. What you all going to have?
Well, I'll take a Welsh rarebit and a cup of coffee.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and I'll take the same, I guess. Can't give me a worse nightmare.
Yes, sir. Coming right up, sir. Right.
Fine place you brought me to. And probably serve us embalming fluid.
Don't kid yourself, Tom. You'll get the best cup of coffee you ever had. And besides, I didn't bring you here just for coffee.
No?
No. Just sit tight and pin your ears back, and I'll show you something.
Okay. Say, you see those two men in uniform over the far corner?
Yeah, I've been watching them. Got more girls around them you can shake a stick at.
Boy, how women go for the uniform of the U.S. Army.
Yeah, they're spending all their pay in one night. Tomorrow, they won't...
Here comes one of those drummers. What do we have to do, buy him a drink?
Nah, just wait and see.
Evil-looking specimen with that mask on.
Good evening, Inspector.
Oh, you look pretty good. Can you sit down for a few minutes?
Sure.
What is all this? Who's this man, Dick?
Should we tell him?
Sure. What do we got to lose?
Lift your mask up a second and let Tom take a quick look.
You'll have to make it quick. There.
Sanderson.
Big as life and twice as natural.
This is Inspector Sanderson's regular racket.
Yeah?
He works here at the tavern all the time as a drummer. No one knows he's a police officer.
I'll have to be getting back to my drums in a few minutes. What you got on your mind?
There's been a little trouble down on Goss Street tonight.
Goss Street? Not Helen Moore's place.
Yeah, how'd you know?
I missed her tonight. She comes in here almost every night with Arthur Woodyard.
Then you know him, too.
Yeah. Is he mixed up in it?
Yeah, he's got a couple of slugs in him. Doubt if he lives till daylight.
What about Miss Moore?
Oh, just a slight flesh wound in the shoulder. There are a couple of others mixed up in it. Do you know a Sam Sexton and a Thomas Farley?
Yes. The Sexton boy has just come here from the south. Farley's a local man. Neither one's been in any trouble before that I know of.
Well, what about Woodyard?
I don't know much about him. Always been sort of a mystery. But what happened?
We don't exactly know. None of them will talk. The place is in a shambles and the money's all gone. But me and Dick have an idea there's more behind it all than robbery.
I wouldn't be surprised. Woodyard and that Moore girl have been going around together for some time. There might be a motive in that.
That's what we thought. Robbery was probably secondary.
Yeah. Well, I'll see I have to go over and whack on my drum again. I'll go right to work on it, though, and see what I can find. I hear a lot of funny things sitting behind this mask.
And he's not kidding.
On Wednesday, August 6th, Gallagher and McSorley conferred with the autopsy surgeon.
What's the report, Doctor?
Well, the hospital staff did everything it could to save Woodyard, but he was too badly hurt.
When did he die?
This morning.
Is the autopsy over yet?
Yes, we finished less than an hour ago. Here it is.
138 and 132 bullet found, eh?
Yes, one of them was a revolver bullet, and the other was from an automatic.
That was what we had figured before.
That's proof to me that there were two men in on this.
Yes, I'm rather inclined to agree with you. You see, the path followed by the bullets leads me to believe that the slugs were fired from two entirely different positions.
Besides, as a precaution against getting his ammunition mixed, a two-gun man practically always uses guns that are alike.
Well, Gallagher, it looks like you'll have to finish up this case with Tom Wood. I've got to take over another case this afternoon.
Okay by me. Well, thanks, Doctor. Mind if we take these slugs along with us?
Not at all. Maybe you'll find a gun or two to compare them with.
A few days later, Inspector Sanderson called on Helen Moore, who was convalescing.
But can't you understand, Miss Moore? It's the law's job to take care of cases like this.
There ain't nothing to tell, Inspector Sanderson.
You ain't got no idea who the men were?
I ain't never seen them before.
Well, how come you let them in if you didn't know them? I thought you was pretty particular.
Well, I is, but that night business was bad and I needed customers.
And what'd they look like? How were they dressed?
Looked just like any other soldiers.
Soldiers?
Huh?
So, they were soldiers.
Did I say that?
Yes.
Well, I meant they were soldiers of fortune.
Did you ever know any of them before?
No.
What branch of the Army were they in?
Who said anything about them being in the Army?
Now, looky here, Miss Moore. We ain't getting no place like this. You know who those men were and why they came to kill Woodyard. Now, why don't you tell me the whole story? It's the duty of the police department to take care of killers. If you carry out your intention of settling the score yourself, then you will be a murderer and liable to arrest and maybe hanging. Our people have enough trouble as it is. You don't want that to happen, do you?
I ain't gonna kill nobody.
Maybe not, but you'll have it done. And if the boys you get to do it is caught, and you know they're gonna get caught, it'll come out that you got them to do it. And that makes you guilty. Don't you see? I'm trying to help you. Now, why don't you help me? Help me to bring Arthur Woodyard's murderers to justice.
Well, I was going to tell the cops when they first come here, but Arthur made me promise not.
I know, but he didn't realize that you might be branded as a murderess yourself, and maybe hanged. Why, if he'd have thought it out, he'd want you to tell.
Well, all right, Inspector, I'll tell you. Yeah, they was soldiers in Uncle Sam's army, and there was two of them, and I know them. They come here to get even with Arthur for something they figured he'd done 3 years ago. I guess there was a little jealous and mixed up in it, too.
Do you know the names of the men? Yeah, you said you knew them.
Yeah, I know the name.
Where can we find them?
Well, they ought to be at the Presidio in San Francisco.
Mm-hmm. Suppose you tell me exactly what took place.
Well, it was about midnight or a little after, and I answered the door, and there they stood, the two of them. First, I didn't know whether to let them in or not, but I decided it was best to act like everything was all right. So I let them in, and a little while later, the trouble started.
Helen Moore poured out the whole story to Inspector Sanderson, who in turn got in touch with Tom Gallagher at headquarters.
Homicide. Gallagher speaking.
Listen, Tom. I gotta talk fast. I'm phoning from the Skull Tavern. I don't want no one to get wise.
What's on your mind, Sanderson?
Your case is sold up. It's in the bag.
What's next?
All you have to do is make the arrest.
Yeah, but arrest who?
Well, you and Tom Wood jump in a taxi and pick up Helen Moore at her house. She'll be waiting for you, and she'll tell you where to go.
Has she decided to talk?
I ain't got time to explain, but she'll show you what to do after you pick her up.
Okay, we're on the way.
Just follow her lead, and she'll help you out.
Thanks, Handy. Nice going. Bye. This is Inspector Tom Wood.
How do you do?
How do you do, Miss Moore?
Well, where to, Miss Moore?
Down to the ferry and cross over to San Francisco, then over to the Presidio.
You mean there's some soldiers mixed up in this?
Yes.
You know them?
No, I ain't never seen them before in my life.
How do you know we'll be able to find them at the Presidio?
In the issue, I reckon. I've been told I was psychic.
Did Woodyard know them?
No.
Why didn't he want the police to know anything about it?
I don't know. He never gained consciousness, so I didn't get to ask him.
Do you have any idea what the motive might have been?
No, I don't. Robbery, I suppose.
Are you sure there wasn't anything else back of it?
I don't know nothing except what I told you, so don't ask me no more questions. I don't know nothing. There's 2 soldiers, and the best place to find soldiers is at the Presidio.
Okay, Miss Moore. Maybe we can get the real reason out of the killers, if we find them.
Well, that's a mighty bitter pill to take, Inspector. I hate to think that any of my boys would commit murder.
Well, we haven't any definite proof. All we know is that there were 2 soldiers and that Miss Moore says she's sure she can pick them out of the whole army.
I'll tell you what. It's time for roll call, and the men will be lined up outside. I'll accompany you, and we'll inspect the whole regiment if need be.
That's mighty nice of you, Colonel MacDonald. I don't know whether the girl can pick out the men or not, but she seems to think so. Seems to me like a pretty big order.
Come along. We can start with the Negro Cavalry Regiment.
Good idea. Somehow I got a hunch we won't find our men. There's something mighty mysterious about all this. Inspector Sanderson phoned and said the case was open and shut and to get Helen Moore and follow her instructions. He acted like he knew all about it, and yet the girl doesn't act like she knows a thing.
Maybe Sanderson promised not to betray her confidence.
Yeah, I thought of that. Okay, Wood. Bring Miss Moore up here. Might as well start at this end and work through the ranks. Okay?
Quite all right.
All set. It won't take long.
All right, let's get started.
There's one of them.
You seem awful positive, Miss Moore.
I never forget faces.
Private John Martin, 2 paces forward.
Look, there's the other one down there.
Private Ernest Dykes, 2 paces forward. Sergeant,
Yes,
place
sir.
these men in the guardhouse.
As soon as Officers Gallagher and Wood could get back to headquarters, they obtained warrants, and the prisoners were moved from the Presidio guardhouse to the Oakland City Jail. Thomas Farley and Sam Sexton confirmed Helen Moore's testimony. The hardware store was located where the 2 guns had been purchased, and the ring of evidence tightened. In the meantime, the soldiers solidly refused to confess. Finally, Martin, when threatened with the prospect of hanging for his part in the crime, gave in.
You see, we was all at Helen's place about 3 years ago. This wayward fellow was working there, and before he left, he took all our money with him. We planned all 3 years we was in the Philippine Islands how we was going to get even with him.
Is that all, Martin, that motivated you to get even with Woodyard for taking your money? Weren't you in love with Miss Moore?
I'll answer that, officer.
Oh, so it was you, Dykes, that was in love with Miss Moore.
Yeah, it was me, all right. You'll find out sooner or later anyway. Well, she throwed me over for Woodyard. Then he had the nerve to fleece us out our dough. I planned for 3 years how I was going to get him. Used to take my target practice serious. So I come to Helen's house that night just to kill him. Martin must have got excited and fired his gun. I was to do all the shooting myself. Helen tried to interfere and got a slug in the shoulder. A couple of stray ones hit Sexton and Farley. That's all there is to it. But I'm glad he's dead, and if I had to do it over again, I'd do the same thing. I'm just sorry now that I didn't kill Helen, too. But if I ever gets out of here, I'll kill her, so help me.
just a moment, we shall hear the concluding facts regarding our program. Technically, an officer of the law works a certain number of hours, then goes off duty. But in reality, he's always on the job. And all-purpose Rio Grande crack is like that. No matter what this strikingly different gasoline is called upon to do, let the weather change from hot to cold, regardless of the temperature or traffic conditions, you can depend upon all-purpose Rio Grande cracked to live up to its reputation as the most highly endorsed gasoline in the West. Aided by the formerly reluctant victims, officials brought Martin and Dykes to trial. They were found guilty and sentenced to spend the remainder of their lives in San Quentin.
Oakland police calling all cars, attention all cars, cancellation of broadcast 302 regarding a murder. Suspects in this case are now in custody. That's all. Rose and
This is your narrator, Frederick Lindsley, bidding you good night for Rio Grande.
Next week, Calling All Cars will be heard at a new time, 7 to 7:30 on Tuesday night, and each Tuesday night at that time thereafter. Next Tuesday evening at 7 o'clock, Rio Grande will present On Suspicion of Murder. This is the Columbia Broadcasting System.